Hello, hello. How are you guys? Okay, this is weird. I have this whole like green screen thing. Okay, so here's the deal. I mentored a couple weeks ago with an attorney. Okay, I gotta change this background. It's driving me nuts. Um, with an attorney, and he taught me a lot. I'm always wanting to um, be better. And as an advocate, we get stuck in these like crazy places, like anybody else, you get stuck in your career and you're like, okay, well, what do I need to do something different to make it happen, for it not to be such a struggle? And, one of the things that, okay, that didn't work either. Look at that, y'all. Okay, hold on. Let me fix this. Um, all right. Let's see. I got this, guys. Give me 2 seconds. So, oh my gosh, this background thing is, oh wow, look at that one. Okay, I'm really playing around with this now. Okay, no, seriously though, guys, as it's messing around, um, he taught me a lot. One of the biggest things that he taught me was to take a lot of my, yeah, I'm still playing with this, to take a lot of the aggression that I have, if you will, um, because I have no tolerance, as you guys know, whatsoever with school districts anymore. Sky, you're being way too loud. Skylar, did you not hear me? And so, I just don't want to deal with it anymore. I just don't. And I am tired of the bullshit and the lies. And, I'm sure some of you saw my complete mental breakdown the other day. And I posted it because, I felt that it was important for people to see vulnerability from me, because you guys are so used to seeing that tough side. Make sure, real quick, post a 1 below if it's your first through third time catching me live. Post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. Okay? So make sure that you do that. I'm just going to put it on regular. Let me see if it'll do it. Okay, cool. So basically, what's important to me is that I get things done. And I will say that I always have. And I would say I have a 95% success rate, if you will. What, Sky? Is it done? Yeah. All right, go on. So I would say 95% success rate. But nobody's perfect, right? But the thing is everything that I do it to the fullest extent. All right. And one of the things that happened to me today, and you know what, before I get started, post a 1 below if it's your first through third time catching me live, 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. My name is Raven Woods. I'm the CEO and founder of Autism Mama Rocks IEP, and I help parents gain the knowledge and confidence to become the CEOs of their IEP meeting. Again, CEO of their IEP meeting. It is a business. Okay, instead of generating revenue like CEOs do, you are generating the hopefulness of progress. Okay, but it is a business. All right, it is not socialization hour or 2 or 3. It is where you have a goal at hand and you are driven to get that goal done. Okay, so make sure to share this if you're on the page. On the group, make sure you click the link that I posted. I'm going to post it one more time so that you can see it. It's StreamYard. It's also streaming at the bottom. It's StreamYard.com/Facebook, so that if you are on the group, you will actually, like, someone's posted and it says Facebook user. Here, I'll show you. So it says Facebook user and she posted it too, but I have no clue who she is because she didn't do the clicking thing. And I'm sorry, it sucks. All right. So just go to the Facebook, streamyard.com/Facebook. You click one time, yes, because it's a group thing. It's a privacy thing. So then it will show your little circle picture. All right. So here's the deal. I'm going to first tell you what I learned. And then I'm going to tell you what happened today in an IEP meeting. It was quite entertaining. Okay. So when I mentored with a top lawyer in New York, I don't even want to talk about how much I invested in this mentorship, but I learned a lot and I've won things like that ever since. And I'm like, what was I? Well, I was still getting what I wanted done my way, but his way made it 100 times easier. So which way am I going to do it? The easy way. So let me tell you what that way is. We're asking for speech. All right. We're just going to go with that one. Okay. And the child could be verbal. The child could be nonverbal. All right. The key, though, is not that the child needs speech. Okay. The key is how to get the child individual speech and for it to be given direct. All right. Because you get speech for 3 reasons and 3 reasons only: expressive, receptive, pragmatic. Okay. So, and language in general. Okay. And a lot of people get caught up with this whole, oh, a child gets speech if they're nonverbal. Well, a child could speak fluently and receive speech because there may be a pragmatic issue, which is more a functional communication. All right. Being able to respond in an appropriate manner. All right. A lot of children with autism will respond kind of out in left field. Right. And so it helps gauge them and engage them into a topic that they are able to go back and forth about. All right. So here is the issue. School districts, for some reason, and I have all kinds of theories. I do, but I don't think we all know the reason. All right. They are not wanting to do individual therapy. If a child needs therapy, it should be individual or not at all. Okay. That is my opinion, and I'm going to tell you why. All right. And that is this attorney's opinion, who's a top attorney who also has teamed up with, let's just say, top attorneys that have won Supreme cases in the United States. I'm just going to leave it at that so that I leave names out of it. Okay. So with that said, all right, so you can just kind of use your imagination of like a key case that I've used a lot. Okay. So he said to me, he said, Raven, I've watched you online. I've watched you, with your lives, your person that, we obviously, had kind of like a beginning conversation, and he knew that I was, I go into the IEP meeting and I'm no bullshit. All right. But I'm also kind and caring, but I seem to leave that somewhere because they are automatic on the defensive. And I started thinking about that, because as an advocate, or I would hope all advocates, really take a look in the mirror and, kind of each, year, month, whatever, kind of regroup and say, okay, how's this working out? Am I doing, how I want to be doing, or could I do better? And, it's interesting because he said, Raven, I love your aggression, because unfortunately in today's day and age with education, you have to have aggression because that, oh, let's be friends thing doesn't work. but a lot of people want that approach because it's a kind, loving way. And they want that communication with the teacher. They want that communication, with whoever it is that they want communication with. But this is him telling me this. The unfortunate fact is parents are hiring attorneys and advocates all the time now because that way is not working. And that sucks. And I said, yeah, that really sucks because, the whole time I had conversations with my team and I would write nice emails and, I would get frustrated and, oh, they were fixing everything. Everything was going to be fixed, and it never was. And then I didn't find out for months later that it never was fixed. And then, of course, I'm even more frustrated. And then it's like this domino effect that things just kept happening in my situation with my daughter. And it just kept happening again. Oh, we're going to fix it. We're going to fix it. And then it happened again. And I realized that they didn't fix it. And it was just ongoing. It never stopped. If it wasn't one thing, it was another. And, when I broke down, I was really trying to talk to you guys about on TikTok, I was really trying to talk to you guys about being and understanding the advocate life. And then it became about, the advocate life is not all a bed of roses. And then I explained my situation. And then I broke down about, my situation and how as a parent, I felt like a failure because I went so long and I just didn't know. I did not know. I didn't know that, all these things, these intricacies of special education have to go into play. That I had to know IDEA and I had to know state law and I had to know what a PWN was and what it entails, what had to be in it. When was it due? When did it have to come to me? When did progress reports have to come to me? Why is it that progress reports only repeated the goal and then said satisfied, not satisfied, met, not met, blah, blah, blah? Didn't tell me anything. And then yet everybody was telling me that was my data when that really wasn't my data, but that's what they were feeding me. And, the present levels, I had no idea that, that is what made my child's IEP because, I was only looking at the services and what she was getting. I wanted to make sure she had her one-on-one. I wanted to make sure she had her speech, her OT, her dance therapy. Okay, my phone's talking to me. I wanted to make sure she had her speech, her OT, her dance therapy, and that's all I did. And then I sent the IEP. And I just cannot believe that I did that. And yet I didn't know. And, he said, Raven, take that aggression. And he goes, what is a personality trait that you don't like? He said, name 3. And I said, well, I don't like passive aggressive people. I said, I don't like people that don't know how to communicate and are two-faced. And I said, then I don't like, and then I said, I kind of threw in with the two-faced part, the like fake people. I don't like fake people, two-faced people. I put that together. So I said passive aggressive, two-faced, and, fake people. And then I said, I don't like when people don't know how to be transparent. All right. If you do something wrong, admit it and move on. People forgive people that own their shit and move on. Don't repeat it 50 freaking million times that when they say they're sorry or they did something wrong, they just don't repeat it. And he said, okay. So is that what you expect of the school districts, is for them to treat you that way? And I said, absolutely. And I said, what I don't understand, and this is for people joining, this is me discussing with a top attorney that I paid. You don't even want to know how much I paid him to mentor me for several hours, like a half a day. All right. And he said, so I want you to become what you don't want to be. Oh, Illinois. He said, so I want you to become passive aggressive. He said, because right now you're assertive, aggressive. I want you to become passive aggressive when you talk about this. And I said, well, passive aggressive people are fake. And he said, well, that's what you have to do in an IEP meeting because they're putting on a show for you. So I thought about that for a second and it kind of clicked. I was like, oh my God. Now, I don't know if I would call it a show like he did. This is the attorney speaking, but I definitely would call it where they are fake and just putting on, I, I guess you would call it a show and acting like everything's great and they're so excited to see you. How are you? So nice to see you again. Blah, blah, blah. Right. And so I said, okay, you want me to become passive aggressive. So I'm supposed to go from assertive aggressive if I have to, but I'm more assertive. And you want me to be passive aggressive, which is completely against what my personality is about. And he said, yes. And he said, okay, go ahead. Sell me on how group speech therapy is not going to work for my child. You guys, I was like, um, come again? What do you want me to do? He said, sell me, do it. And I mean, y'all, I'm on my stuff, okay? In an IEP meeting. And when this attorney that I'm like, oh my God, he's like a freaking celebrity. I can't believe, I'm meeting him. He like wins pretty much every one of his due process cases. I mean, I feel so lucky. I mean, thousands of dollars later. But oh my God, I'm being mentored by him. This is so cool. And then he's like, okay, sell me. And I'm like, yeah, speech therapy. Yeah. I got it together. So here you go. Ready? So this is what I did. This is me talking to them. All right. So I'm talking to the speech therapist. So this is what I'm saying to him, like talking my way through. I feel like a totally freaking idiot. And I said, speech therapy for this child. Let's just take any scenario that a child needs speech therapy 3 times a week. Okay. Or we could say 2 times a week. It doesn't matter. All right. But they're doing group. All right. Or they're doing cushion. All right. So I'm going to give you both scenarios. So he said, give me group first. I said, okay. So I said to the speech therapist, all right, so I need you to tell me how Sarah, I'm just making up names, is able to have one-to-one therapy for 30 minutes, even though it's in a group. You still have to do that direct one-to-one because she has an IEP and that thing kind of has this big I on it and it means individualized. So no matter what you do, group or not group, it has to still be individualized to your child. So how is it that you're making Sarah's group speech therapy individualized? And the speech therapist, and I actually had this scenario happen. So as I'm explaining it to him, he's teaching me what to say as I go. And this is how it played out. So in the meeting that I was in, I said, how does that happen? He said, ask them, make them answer your question. Instead of you going in for the attack, even though you get it done, change it up and make them put themselves in the toilet. I was like, I love that. So I was like, okay, I can do that. And so in this meeting, I asked the speech therapist, how is it that you're providing group therapy to Sarah? Again, I'm making up a name. And it be individualized. And I said, how many kids are in the group? She said 3. I said, okay, so you have Sarah, Joe, and Brandon. And Sarah has one IEP, Brandon has another IEP, and Joe has another IEP. They each have 30 minutes, so you put them together in 30 minutes, but they each have different goals. So how is it that they're getting individualized speech therapy, because it has to be individualized, whether it's in a group or not, Tuesdays and Thursdays? Can you explain that to me? And she said, well, when I do groups, I try to pair them up when they have like goals and they are, similar to one another. I said, "Okay. What does that mean? Can you explain that to me?" And she said, "Well, these kids that I teamed up, they all are working on the sounds of words." So it clicked right then what the attorney had taught me, because he said, when you ask the questions, they're going to throw their own selves in the toilet. When she said that she put similar kids together in group therapies that are like one another, when we know that no child with a special need are like each other, they may have similarities, but not one of them are similar enough to where they could be put together and the goals be met that's in their IEP individualized. Okay, you'd have to work with one and then the other and then the other, but they don't have the same goal, so there's no possible way to work with just Sarah, just Joe, or just Brandon. Okay? So when she said they all are working on the sounds, it clicked because I'm already quick on my feet. So he said, "Now use what you do and make them put themselves in the toilet. And then you're not doing it. And you're not aggressively going after them and putting them in the toilet. They're doing it to themselves." I loved that. And so I said to this speech therapist, as I'm doing it after I mentored with him, and I still have more mentor sessions with him, because I had it's okay, mentor with him, go do it, mentor with him, go do it. And so when she said sounds, do you know the child that I was saying she does not need to have speech therapy in a group? It's not working. Sounds is not even in the goals. So I said, so now you're not using the goals. You're not working on the goals for her in therapy. You're working on sounds when you told me earlier today that she already has her sounds. Do you see how she just put herself in the toilet? And I said, when I asked her to explain to me how she is serving each child and giving them each 30 minutes, because if it says 30 minutes in a group, that means 30 minutes for your child. That doesn't mean they work on 50 million different goals. It doesn't work that way. If your child's in speech and they have 3 goals to work on in speech, those 3 goals better be worked on. So if they're working on Joe's 3 goals and Brandon's 3 goals, they're sure as hell not working on your child's 3 goals the whole time for 30 minutes, which it says in your child's IEP. 30 minutes, 3 times a week in a group. All right. So the group is the problem, because you can't get 30 minutes of working on those goals in a group. It is impossible. Okay. So she could not, a speech therapist, and could not, 17 years experience, could not for the life of her explain how she could accomplish group therapy with 3 children. 3, that's not a lot. In a setting, okay, she would take them out and they'd be in the speech setting and fulfill each and every one of their goals. It wasn't possible, because if she was working on Sarah's goals, she wasn't working on Brandon's goals. If she was working on Brandon's goals, she wasn't working on Sarah's goals. Do you see what I'm saying? You're working on somebody's goals, but it's not that one person and it's not that individualization. Because for some reason, she ended up talking about the sounds, and the sounds weren't even in my client's goals. So where did that come from? And where it came from is she said, I try to pair kids similar to one another. Okay. You're going to hear that a lot when they talk about groups. We pair them, when they're very much alike with one another. I'm sorry, but it doesn't work that way. All right. I'm glad they're very much alike one another, but even very much alike one another does not mean that each child is being served and their IEPs are being implemented with fidelity, because you cannot do that if you're serving Brandon and whatever the other kid's name I named um all together with Sarah. You can't do it. 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 Another thing, and he filled me in on this too, is, and I already knew it, but he's like, you got to bang it into their damn head. So I said, he said, group therapy for children with disabilities, there is zero to trivial. There's little things here and there, basically trivial to zero, I should say, um, research and science on the successfulness of group therapy. Now, on children who within general education, who are in what's up? Mm-hmm. So, all right, have a good night. So, children who literally are struggling, are struggling, cannot do group therapy because they're not going to be served and their IEPs are not going to be fulfilled and done with fidelity. So when you talk about gen ed kids and groups, there's so much research and science behind it. It's amazing, but not with children with disabilities and special needs. Okay. So they're picking group therapy because they are limited on people or whatever the case is. All right. I'm not even going to try to justify or make excuses or try to guess what the reason is of why they push group therapy. Bottom line is they do. Why? I don't know, because it cannot. I've tried in my head so many times because I am a logical person. I have to make sense of it. It has to make sense to me, and I have to be able to picture it in my head of how that success is going to happen for that child. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, you got 3 kids, you have 1 therapist. That 1 therapist is supposed to work on all 3 of their goals. All 3 of their goals are different, and they only got 30 minutes. That shit ain't happening. All right, which is why the success is like that. Oh, but they'll tell you they're making progress. They're making progress. Come on now. They're going to tell you all kinds of stuff about them making progress until you say, "Okay, show me the data." So, that's that one. All right, so now we're going to talk about pushing. Ooh, I nailed this one too. All right. So pushing. Let's talk about pushing. So pushing, all right, is where the teacher goes into the classroom to do OT, speech, whatever. All right. The first thing I talk about when it comes to push-in services is, why is it that everybody wants to talk about how horrible it is to remove a child from a classroom to do a therapy that is much needed? Speech, OT, PT, those are very important therapies. So if you're withdrawn from a classroom to go and do those therapies, that's okay. We're not going to freak out because the child missed 30 minutes of who knows what. Okay? Because whatever that therapy is doing, my hope would be that it's going to benefit the child so much, if it's done in the right way, to where they can bring it back into the classroom and be even more successful in the classroom. So don't fall for that kind of faux pas, if you will, of, you do not want to take your child. We need to keep them in the LRE. We just don't want to take them out. We just, we just need to keep them in the LRE. It's just really important. Okay. It's really important. All right. Y'all, if a child needs therapy is more important than being in that classroom. Okay. And you just pick and choose and be smart about what they're taking out of, if that's a concern. All right. I personally would say social studies. because a lot of people want to say electives. And I'm like, no, I want my child to enjoy themselves and have some fun during the day. So take them out of social studies. I'll teach them about Martin Luther King and Abraham Lincoln. And I live by, I live by the Smithsonian. So, I got all kinds of history here. I'll teach my child history. um, Bottom line, figure out what it is that's important to you. You know, if you don't care about music, take them out of music. If you don't care about art, take them out of art. You know, um, be very cautious about when they will say, "Oh, well, you know, we can't really do that here." You know, take them out of art or recess or whatever it is. You don't want to take out of recess, but you don't want to have them say, "Oh, well, we'll have to look at the schedule. We'll have to look at the schedule and see if that's gonna work." Or, if to even take them out to therapy. "Oh, we're just gonna have to, see what the schedule looks like." And I'll say, "No, no, 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 no. You can look at the schedule by all means, and you're gonna figure out where in the schedule you're gonna figure out when that child's gonna be taken out to have therapy. But that's it. You're not gonna look at the schedule to figure out if it's gonna work or not, because we're not working at your convenience. We're working at what's needed and appropriate for the child." All right? Several times I've heard lately, what we're gonna see, if that's gonna kinda work in their schedule. Another thing I've heard is, especially with kids that are in the higher grades, they have different times in which classes are, like 45 minutes, 50 minutes, 75 minutes, that sort of thing, and then they'll only want to offer therapies for that time frame. It doesn't work like that. Now, even if that time frame was perfect, it cannot be said, "Oh, well, we can only do it for this time frame." No, you'll do it for what's needed and appropriate for the child in order for them to make progress. We're not gonna do it in accordance to your time frame in which your class is, all right? You have to bring them back to reality, and they need to realize, and you need to hammer it in their head that it's what's needed and appropriate for that child and their disability. All right. The impact of the disability is what rules the world in education, not the teachers, not the service providers, not administration, not you. The impact of disability, that and that alone is what navigates your child in the educational system. All right. It gives them what's needed, what's appropriate, and everything else in between. There is no if it's available. There's no we don't do that here. There's no we'll see what the schedule looks like. I don't give a shit what has to happen in order for that child's needs to be met. You're going to do it. And that's where I'm telling parents, buckle down. I was teaching a parent today. Start pushing things even further. Like I let her, because I'm training her, we've worked together for a year now. And I said, I wanted to let her go. She had really good questions. She was doing a really good job. And I shut my mouth and, they were doing a really good job. And the only constructive criticism that I had for her out of everything she's learned so far this year, which is tons, was that don't stop just because they say something. Push it and push it and push it again. You nail it into their head. And then after you nailed it into their head, do it again. And then, you know what? Third time's a charm. Do it one more time. No joke. One, because you want it on recording. Two, you want to make sure it's clear. And three, you want to make sure that if they're going to say anything else, they're going to say it within those 3 times. And you're going to see if it repeats itself. And you're going to be able to correct it each time. And so it's very important to not fall into their traps of, we don't do that here. We normally do it like this here. This is how we do it in our district. And I always say, no, 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 I don't care how you do it in your district, as long as you're following the laws. I don't care. You could do it any which way you want to, as long as you're following federal and state law. Do what you want. In regards to, we don't do that here. I got to look at the schedule. All of those things, you need to squash that quick, y'all. Squash it quick. Slam that thing down like a pancake. All right. You need to not allow that tactic, because what it does is it changes your brain into thinking that that can't be done. And so then they move on to something else. No, we can't really do that here. So, we're going to move on and we're going to talk about this. Watch how it goes next time. You're going to say something. You're going to say, that I don't really want it like that. Or you're going to say, no, we need to do this, this, and this. And they're going to say, well, we don't really do that here. And, this is how we typically do it. And then they're going to move on. Watch. Mark my words. That's how it runs. All right. Because they're quick to say, we don't do that here. Okay, let's move on. So then you feel as a parent, you have to like bring them back. You have to make them stay in that spot until you're done with talking about that spot. Me, I'll sit and talk about it for a freaking hour or two. You decide. We're going to discuss it. We're going to handle it. We're going to settle it. We're going to agree upon it, whether we agree or not. And it's going to get handled. And then we'll move on. All right. That piss school districts off all the time. You want to keep moving on. No, we're not moving on. If we have to spend 2 damn hours in this one area, then that's what we're going to do. Because if you're not going to, work with us as a team, then we're going to sit here for 2 hours on this one subject. Don't feel threatened by, oh, well, I guess we're just going to have to come back to the table. So what? So what? You cannot let them have that upper hand, if you will, if you want to look at it like that, and control you and what the discussion is. It reminds me of what I've taught you guys and what I teach in my course. I don't know. I had, about, I think 52 people buy the course today. And, I tell you guys, you got to know that basics. So if you haven't taken Rock the IEP, you need to take Rock the IEP. But one thing you've got to know is you've got to know how to put your foot down and not let them run over you. Okay? There is a tactic, a way to go about it. Remember I was saying, not to get off track, but I'm going to just tell you this real quick. Remember I was saying to you guys how I was trying to figure out a different way in which to teach people how to become an advocate? I figured it out. So the way is, I'm not going to go and preach to you all the laws and all the, in my membership, you're going to get that. What I'm going to teach you is how to be a badass in that IEP meeting, how to think quickly on your feet, what to do, how to do it, scenarios of what's going on. I'll play clips of IEP meetings. I have tons of families and parents who are like, yeah, go ahead, teach, show my stuff. They don't care. So you'll be able to see me in action in an IEP meeting. You'll be able to, we're going to be mentoring people in action in their IEP meetings. So I'll be going into your IEP meetings, teaching you to be an advocate and sitting back, shutting my mouth, and then giving constructive criticism. I think that is one of the best ways to teach people, is to teach them, this is what you do in the IEP meeting. This is how you handle this scenario. These are the scenarios that come up, and there's always new scenarios. I'll never run out of a topic. And then I go with you for those who want it like that. You get to choose. It would be a different thing that you purchase. And you're like, hey, I want you to actually physically mentor me in doing this. So I know, when I screw up, tell me what I did wrong, help me learn from it. And then that's how you become really good, And so that's the way it needs to happen, because so many people are learning this. Okay, here's what the laws, here's what's going on, here's what's up, here's idea, here's state law, and you're going into IEP meetings with this knowledge and have no clue how to really run that IEP meeting. None. The laws, this, that, and the other, but I kind of associate it with when I got my Google PhD, which, I'm really smart, y'all. I got a PhD in Google, for real. I really do. And the thing is, though, is it got me nowhere in the IEP. And if you have a question about, um, do I have to have an education? No. Do you have to have some sort of like training before you get trained to become an advocate? Zero. Can you be right out of high school? Yep. Does it matter if you're right out of high school or if you have a PhD? Nope. I work with doctors, lawyers. No one is born to know what to do in the IEP meeting. Okay. So you have to be able to take initiative, and you have to be able to guide and help people and really support them in this journey. It's an emotional journey for many parents. It's not something that's a piece of cake walk in the park. And, schedule works around therapy, first therapy, and then other class. Yes, absolutely. Um, Therapies have to come first. I mean, if you look at it like this, like, you know, let's just take a child who has sensory issues. All right. And that sensory issues can cause anxiety. It can cause restlessness, impulsivity. It can cause anger. It can cause many different behavior issues. So, is that going to impact that child in the educational setting? Of course. Yes. All right. So, art is like my Texas peeps. Um, and but yes, an IEP is an IEP is an IEP. But yes, in like Texas and some other states, they're called ARD meetings. Um, in New York, sometimes they're called a CSE meeting. I mean, they're just called different things, different places. That's an IEP. Okay. Um, like I'm dealing with, New York right now, and and they're always entertainment. Uh, you Northerners, come on, just have some tact, you know? Like I can be a nasty, what, but you know what? You don't have to have that chip all the time, you know? You just don't. It's not attractive. Um, so that is the coolest thing I learned and you guys, no joke, it has worked. Every child is now an individual therapy. Every child. It's been 4 meetings, only 4 so far. But I just met with him and I'm like, "Oh my god, this is awesome." And don't get me wrong, I got it before, but it was so much more of a fight. So much more of a fight. And now I'm making them answer questions and they're solving my problem by just answering questions. It's beautiful. Beautiful. All right. So that's your therapies. All right. The push in, I just want to go over really quick. Same thing as group, to be quite honest. And don't forget to share this, guys. Post a 1 below if it's your first or third time catching me live. Post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. Okay. So push in. Push in's sometimes worse. Sounds great, you know. Oh, we're gonna push the therapist into the gen ed classroom and we're going to support the child there in therapies. Hmm, sounds all well and good, but it's not. And I can tell you because I experienced it. So, okay, being in the classroom, I can tell you it ain't what it sounds like. Okay, so don't let them convince you because it's not true. Okay. So you have speech therapists, occupational therapists, whatever, go into the classroom. Let's just go with speech. Not every time that a speech therapist goes into the classroom is it a good time to talk. So how is that being worked out? And then when you can talk, what are you talking about? Who are you talking to? And how are you implementing the goals and serving that child in a setting with 26 plus kids? Very difficult. Okay. Then you got to, we're just talking about speech right now. Then you got to look at, and this is on any area, PT, OT, speech. All right. The number one thing that I say to the therapist, all right, again, now switching from that more aggressive to the more passive aggressive. Do you know, this is me asking them, if you going into the classroom is embarrassing for that child? Do you know if you going into that classroom is causing anti anti that's a new word, anti any mental health issues? Feeling insecure, feeling singled out, feeling like their friends are maybe laughing at them. Kids can be mean, you know? Um, and or even just ask questions, the young ones. Why does Sam get to have, Miss So and so come in and work with him every day or 2 days a week? How come she can't work with me? That's a question a little one would ask, you know? So it can cause some mental health issues. And nobody, not you, not me, not the teacher, and definitely not the therapist, can say if that child can't express themselves, how it is affecting that child mentally. And who wants to purposefully make a child feel different or singled out and kind of put into a category all by themselves because nobody else is getting something that they're getting and it's putting them on the spot, but they don't know how to voice it. They don't know how to get it out. They don't know how to talk about it. I really worry about this with my nonverbal kids. And it takes me back to my own daughter. The child remembers stuff from 5+ years ago, things that I've completely forgotten, and she will remember it. And I thank God that I was not a parent that spoke negatively, hear me out, about her in front of her. All right. So, as parents, of course, we're going to say, oh my God, she drove me nuts today. I want to pull my hair out, and, just being a stressed out parent, etc. I never did that. I mean, several times, I guess I could say I expressed frustration in front of her, but not, "Oh my god, did you see what Sky did?" Or talk to a teacher and they're saying, "She really was having a meltdown today. She was doing this, 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 this," and, I didn't do that in front of her. And that's really important because for me, it would kill me if I knew that a child really felt that way and they just couldn't tell us. Um, that would be the worst for me because can you imagine how that feels to them and then they can't express it? And the whole time they're feeling singled out and feeling insufficient and feeling, I've heard kids, you know, ones that can talk saying, because they can't read or they can't do something, I feel dumb. I don't want to do that because I feel dumb. And everybody laughs at me. And, I mean, we hear Jenna say this, but when you take a child with special needs and then them putting their own selves down and, saying that they feel dumb and, they don't feel the way they should, which is good about themselves and have that positive reinforcement of that's okay. We're gonna get better and we're gonna work on it. And you're gonna be really great at it, and encourage them. And, I'm not seeing that happen a lot these days of, you know what? It's okay. No big deal. We're gonna work on that even more so that you can get it. And you can, because for me, I want kids to feel successful and win. All right. So whenever you hear me say, I don't know who you are, who just put this. Look, see, I can't see your picture. You gotta push that like link. Um, I just posted it again. The streamyard.com/Facebook. Okay. So hi. I don't know who you are, but hi. Um, so for me, it's important that a child, hey, um, feels good about themselves and that a child feels happy about themselves and, you know, feels that success. That's why I'm so picky, guys, about present levels and goals as well. I mean, I'm picky about it for many different reasons, but I'm very picky about it when it comes to little things like that as well. Meaning, um, hi, Ashley. Meaning, let's keep the goals simple. Stop complicating the goals. Teachers will like argue with me over and over and over when all I'm trying to do is simplify that goal. We don't want to have word recognition, spelling, recognition of I mean, 3, 4 goals in one. If 2 go together, okay, I'm cool with that. But if they don't accomplish all of what's in that goal, they didn't make the goal. So I would rather have a couple more goals than to set them up for failure. You see? And so, I've seen kids where they have all these goals and then they have one reading goal. What? Or, their biggest issue is reading and they have every goal under the sun except reading. And then their one reading goal is comprehension. So many children have comprehension in their reading goals. I don't get it. I don't get it. Get comprehension goals the hell off your IEP. Because if your child does not have word recognition or language knowledge, meaning understanding that word, if I held the word tornado up on a piece of paper, tornado, they can read it and then tell me what a tornado is. Then you can have comprehension in their goal. But if they cannot recognize words and be able to describe those words, they are not ready for comprehension. Comprehension should not even be anywhere near their IEP. Okay? Nowhere near it. This is good info. My ARD for my son is next week. Sometimes I feel lost. I ask to explain what I don't understand. Yeah, and the problem though is sometimes is you ask for them to explain it and then it's not explained to you accurately. I'll give you an example. Today, I'm in an IEP meeting with a client, and this school district in freaking Louisiana, has been a real pain in my ass. And they're not like other districts, where they can get nasty or whatever. They're the freaking people, all right, in the small town. And mom told me this that everybody knows everybody, everybody talks about I don't understand that fully because that's not in my area. But in my mind, I'm thinking, I don't care where the hell you are, like they, oh, They do the whole that's them in the meeting. I wanna, like, smack their eyeballs right on out of their head. Um, but in my mind, I'm like, "You know what? I'm not even gonna stoop to their damn level. I'm just not. I don't even know how to act like that. So, I'm just gonna tell them how stupid they look and keep going." Drives me nuts. I'm like, because 'cause I'll say, "Do you realize that you are on recording and all your 500 faces are on recording as well?" You realize that? So if this ever went to due process, you realize the hearing officer is gonna see your 500 faces, right? Okay. Um, so today, the school district, they did not know their laws, okay? The psychologist, all right, took she did the BASC 3. So if anybody knows the BASC 3, it's a assessment where the the teacher fills out a questionnaire, the parent fills out a questionnaire, people fill out a questionnaire, okay? And then it's given to the psychologist, and she's the one or he's the one who puts it together and writes the report. Okay? Well, never did she interview anybody. Never did she ask questions based on the answers that were given in the Basque. And if you know anything about Basque, it's owned by Pearson. All right. And Pearson will tell you straight up, yeah, you have to make sense of what they said. So the teacher said, this is a nonverbal 5-year-old, y'all. No, he's 6 now. He just turned 6. So he's nonverbal. And she said that he was threatening because he hits other people. But then when we asked her, because mom confronted her and said, "Hey, why did you say that my son's a threat?" And this is the first, y'all. I mean, I see the bass done all the time. And even in kids that have like BAPs, I've not seen them been labeled as a threat. And so I'm letting mom, she's doing an amazing job. And the teacher says, "Well, it asked me to only answer sometimes, never, always, etc." And so that made sense. So, mom said, "Oh, so you put, what, sometimes or because she explained that it wasn't hitting, it was like nudging, kind of pushing kind of thing. But, children with autism, they do that. There's different reasons why, sensory or anything else. And that she felt that there was no way he was a threat and so on and so forth. So when she gave her report to the psychologist, why did the psychologist not make sense of this? Why did the psychologist never ask questions? Why did the psychologist just put these statements in there that a 6-year-old is a threat? Because that is a strong statement. When the teacher said, "No, no, no, that's not at all my words." And, the psychologist couldn't say anything for herself. And we called her out. She literally, the mom and her friend, who's also a speech therapist, literally called her out. Wasn't even me this time. And the psychologist literally got up and walked out. She didn't say anything. She got up and walked out of the meeting. We're online. We're on Google Meet. And she got up and walked. "I'm out." Okay. Like, literally, mom and her friend were sitting there talking to her and asking questions and saying, "Why didn't you change this? Why didn't you take responsibility? Why didn't you go watch my child in the classroom and get an idea for yourself?" Because she admitted, she said, "Well, I just took what they wrote." And I said, "Well, you're not supposed to just do that. You're supposed to actually go view the child yourself and observe and, come to a conclusion with everybody's information put together along with yours, and you create a report and a flow. And if a child's seriously not a threat, why would you ever even put that in there? You can put that the teacher, said that the student nudged or this, that, and the other, and that happens sometimes or whatever the case may be. But to label a child as a threat to others when that's not the case at all is not okay. And no joke, girl. She literally didn't say nothing. She literally got up and walked out. Mhm. Psychology. Now that is one hell of a psychologist. Don't you want all of your kids to have her for a psychologist? I mean, there does come a time, in careers that you just have to have your pull your big girl panties up and be a adult and deal. You're not gonna like everything people have to say, but hey, if you're in the wrong, you're in the wrong. You're not gonna be called out if you're in the right. Same with my TikTok. Same with my friend, special education boss who did her TikTok. Districts, don't come bitching at us because we call you out on the TikTok if you do something wrong. If you do something wrong, we're gonna call you out on the TikTok. And if you don't like it, stop doing something wrong. Then we don't have a TikTok to make. That's how it is. You do something wrong, we're gonna make a TikTok. We are committed to making a TikTok off of your fuck up. Stop fucking up. We won't make the TikTok. Easy solution. And we would be happy to not make the TikTok. But if you keep lying to parents and you keep disregarding the things that are actually really important based on your own selfish political ways, needs, and wants, then things are never going to be the way they should be. And things are always going to be a mess. If you're wanting the educational system to get better, you have to serve it better. You have to serve your teachers and support them in any which way that they need support. You need to support your service providers by not making them go and run around Robin Hood's barn to every single school all over the place and running them ragged so that services are actually not such an issue for kids to get because you're not fighting it because you don't have people. And then you have administration that wants to come into IEP meetings and think that they have some sort of say. I don't get it. I've just started, anybody that doesn't work with a child, I just tell them to be quiet. Just don't talk. I don't want to hear what you have to say. Attorneys, administration, if you don't work with the child and you're in an IEP meeting with me, do not talk. Don't even open your damn mouth. I don't want to hear what you have to say. You have nothing to say. Nothing. And dear Lord, do not talk for the teacher. Teachers have voices. They have voices, okay? They are not teachers with no voice. They have voices, they have thoughts, they have opinions, and they have things that they want to say too. Unfortunately, they're threatened by you, so they won't say certain things, and I get it. I don't agree, but I get it. But stop. Just stop. Stop controlling teachers. Stop telling them what to say in IEP meetings. Do you think that they don't come tell us? They don't all come tell us, but a lot of them do. They do. A lot of them throw their own administration these days under the bus because they don't like you. So maybe, just maybe, if you stop being so nasty, your own staff won't throw you under the bus and call us advocates so that we can fight for the kids even better because you all are not for them. You all are for yourselves, not the kids, not the teachers, not the service providers. You're all about you and your political agenda. And the teachers and the service providers and the paras, let's not forget the paras, and everybody else that you call a little are turning against you. We're quitting. So don't wonder why. Don't wonder why. When you treat others like shit, the shit eventually begins to flow. I asked my husband today if he's ever had an I have a dream moment. I said I finally had mine. I want to be a director of SPED ID, get to know each family. Shit, you can pay me to do that job. If it all takes these positions, then we can finally make change. What's your name? Click that link. Here, I'm gonna post it again. Click it and then say yes so I can see you because I want to know who you are. Ashley who? Tell me who you are. I know a lot of Ashleys. Thank you. You know, things are, look at this sweetheart right here. Things are getting better. I don't know if you guys saw my complete and freaking mental breakdown the other day. I did post it. I did. Here, let me post it again. I'll post the link again. All right, I just posted it again right in the chat. Okay? I just posted it. And if you look right here, hold on. If you look right here, see it says StreamYard access right at the bottom of the screen. You're that's all you got to do. It's to access your circle picture. That's all it is. So here you go. You go to https://streamyard.com/Facebook. That's it. Then it says something and you just say yes. Okay. So yeah, push-in therapy is disruptive to the teacher. And no, the teacher is not going to admit it in the IEP meeting, guys. It's kind of like putting someone on the spot. You're putting them on the spot in front of administration, even the principal is administration, that's their boss. And you don't want to do that. All right. So don't expect them, don't think they're shitty or being nasty because they're not, agreeing or whatnot. All right. But it's like a child. Don't put someone on the spot like that. You got to figure out a way. But they're not going to say it's disruptive because then they're going to get in trouble. It's not worth it. And it's not only disruptive to the teacher, it's disruptive to the other students. And here's what I said in the IEP meeting, all right, about the push-in. And this is what you should hear the response I got. Okay, so I said, this push-in's a joke. I've always thought it was a joke. Before I talked to this attorney and mentored with him, I always said, it's a joke. It's the stupidest thing ever. And because if a child needs therapy, why the hell are you going to put them in therapy with 26 plus kids? That's totally putting a child on the spot. How are they going to even prove that way? I don't get it. And so I said, how are you pushing in trying to educate a child with disabilities and doing PT in the gen ed setting or doing OT for sensory integration in the gen ed setting? It makes no sense. And your excuse is, oh, we want to keep them in the LRE. The LRE. Okay, don't let them say, oh, well, we have to, by law, we got to keep them in the LRE. Y'all tell them they're full of shit. Okay? They're full of shit. You don't got to keep them in the LRE. The LRE is the goal of IDEA. The goal of IDEA is to have a child be in the least restrictive environment, gen ed setting, with as much supports, meaning accommodations, modifications as possible in order for them to make progress in lieu of their disability. But if they need to be taken out of the classroom for therapy, supports, etc., resource, extra reading, whatever the case may be, that is fine. And then they go back to the LRE, the gen ed setting, afterward. That doesn't mean they don't get the supports, the extra reading help and resource, or they don't get the extra compensatory services, or they don't get, OT individual one-to-one because you don't want to take them out of the LRE and you want to scare the parent of, oh my God, I can't take my child out of the least restrictive environment because it's against the law. Oh, don't fall for that shit. Please don't fall for it. Okay? These scare tactics and these things that they do, bringing attorneys to IEP meetings. Shoot, bring an attorney to my meeting. I don't care. They do. I've actually had them not do it a lot lately. Like last year during COVID, I think it was 5. I'm still dealing with 2 different attorneys right now, but one's just because I have big cases in Texas. But no, they just deal with me. Yeah, they just deal with me. But Millie Raven, did you see my previous comment? I forgot to click the link. Let me see. Which one did you say? The Hi Beautiful Lady? Is it the Hi Linda? Hi Kim? If your IEP meeting was canceled due to weather and school was closed, so the meeting was not held, how long do they have to reschedule? Usually it should be held within 2 weeks. Like it should be held within 2 weeks. Not scheduled in 2 weeks. Held in 2 weeks. Hi Karina. Nilda, hello. Hi Aaron. Bill, Christina. Another Christina. Luciano. Oh, you're like the one that I keep like blocking. I'm gonna put you in timeout. Person's getting on my damn nerves. Why is it on like YouTube? They like troll you. What the hell's that? Oh, it's crazy shit. All right. Okay. Hi, BB. How are you? Okay. So that has been interesting learning from this attorney, and his approaches are so great. And I just love it because push-in is disruptive to the other children as well. And he was explaining to me, he's like, Raven. I loved how he said my name, Raven. Let me tell you something. Not only are all those things that you've already said about push-in true, but also idea states that if the disability impacts the student and their education or impacts other students and their education. So that push-in is not smart. Now, I will say, I'm all about if you can convince me, okay, okay. If you can convince me, I'm good. I will, one, if I'm wrong, I will admit I'm wrong 100%. Two, if you can convince me that this is something that there should be consideration of because of whatever the reason is, I am open to that. But you got to convince me. You got to be able to stand up to me, not be intimidated, not be worried or nervous. Like I'll have, you know, a therapist, like they're so nervous, you know, and I'm like, just relax, you know, unless you did something wrong, we should be good. But if you did something wrong, then I would be nervous, you know? Um, one more thing before I get off, y'all. Um, so yes, if they can convince me, one lady, the OT, she convinced me. She said, I do really well pushing in to do hand because this is the child's only goal in OT. It is handwriting, and the grip and the tripod grasp and all that. And she said it's working really well, me pushing into the classroom. And I said, I'm not for it. It's not my cup of tea. And she said, I know, but hear me out. Okay. So I heard her out. And she said, and the teacher chimed in too, which I had respect for the teacher because she was um, very nice and very kind. And you could tell she really loved her job. And she was nervous at first, but then I calmed her down and I said, just talk to me. Don't be nervous about anything. Just talk to me. If it didn't work out, it's okay. Just talk to me. Pretend no one else is here. um, and then she relaxed, and it was good. But she was a good teacher. And so the OT said, I go in during their writing sessions. Hey, Ashley. And I'm like, okay. And she said, and it works really well because I'm able to really work with him with the other children there. And it's encouraging him to do more because he's seeing others write as well. And so the only thing I had them, she convinced me. And so the only thing I had them do, and they will do, is I want them putting, because we haven't completely done it, but they will put in the IEP that OT will go into the classroom during a writing assignment type time. That it has to be that type of time. You know what I mean? So, just to make sure things are covered there. But she convinced me, So if you can convince me that it is going to work and it's going to be beneficial for the child, I will not argue with you. But if you're stumbling all over your words because you're too nervous about what I'm going to jump down your throat about because you are wrong and you're just trying to make it right in any which way possible because you have administration riding your ass, I'm going to chew you up and spit you out. So if you're doing things for the right reasons, if you're doing things for the children, and you're doing things because it's just the right thing to do in order for them to make progress, we are good. But if you have bad intentions or you have even good intentions, but you're just listening to administration who have a collar on you and are leading you by, the leash, then I promise you pray to God that I'm not in your IEP meeting. All right? or change what you're doing because I have no tolerance for it anymore. None. The goal is to work together as a team. Teams don't go and gang up against one another, meaning the district have you on their side because they got you by the collar, and you then are no longer yourselves because they got you by the collar, meaning they're controlling you and you're allowing it. All right. You could say it's because, well, I don't want to lose my job. Do you, to any teacher out there who ever says that, I want to smack you upside your head. Seriously. If you said that, I don't want to lose my job because you will have a job in like 30 seconds. For real. 30 seconds. If your school district fired you, you'd probably have another job in 30 seconds. I'm being sarcastic, but no joke. You would have a job in a heartbeat. I would much rather, this is just me, I can only speak for myself, but I would rather be that teacher that actually said, screw you to the administration. No, I'm not doing that. That is not right by the child. Dare them to fire me. And let's just say they did. Number one, I would sue them for discrimination. But then on the second part of it, I'd probably be happier somewhere else anyway. And places need teachers so bad all over the US. So, teachers, to all you great ones, tell administration to jump a effing crate. And if you all start doing that, they're going to have no power. None. Because they need you. And most of you are awesome. It's just changing because they're having control. And you could make a difference. Instead of doing the whole strike thing or whatever it is, start doing that. Start saying no. I am going to talk in IEP meetings. I'm going to tell the parent why their child's not making progress. I'm going to tell the parent everything so that we can start over and do the right thing by these children. Because if I'm honest with the parent, I know the parent will work with me in order to get things put back together. So here's the last thing I was going to say before I wrap up. To the school district, the IEP meeting I was in today, Louisiana, they're a bunch of freaking idiots. No offense. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you're from Louisiana. I'm really, really, really sorry. But this school district, I mean, I don't even know what else to say other than they're, no joke, just freaking idiots. Like, I don't even know how they're in the education field. Like, they're that stupid. Like, dumb. So they're quoting their own laws as in the number, which I know the number. So they're quoting the law. And I said, that's not in that law. I said, I have it right here. Would you like me to copy and paste it for you? Because I always have a lot of things on hand when I'm in IEP meetings, depending on what that meeting's about. And they were like, that, yeah, of course. And then the next thing is at the end of the meeting, I said for disability category, because they go, Mom, do you agree that the disability category is still autism? And Mom said, yes. And I said, well, that's true. That is the disability category, but we need to add speech and language impairment to that. And they're like, well, he doesn't qualify. Really? He's nonverbal, but he doesn't qualify? Interesting. So I pulled up the law, state code and everything. And I read it to him. It took me about 10 minutes to read it to him. It was so long. And I said, do you guys think he still doesn't qualify? Because every last thing that I read, he qualified for. Under your law. So do you still want to tell me that he doesn't qualify? So now I got a problem. And you want to know what that problem is? Is why you as the administrators, you as the educators, did not, more so to speech as well, because the teacher actually put it in her notes. So it was more towards the speech therapist. Why did you never recommend a speech and language impairment? Why? When you know that's the case. That is a procedural violation to not make recommendations based on the needs of the student, because that's a failure to provide FAPE to a student with a disability knowingly that the child has more of an impairment. That's an intentional decision. You were conscious when you made that decision, which makes it even worse. Raven, you're the bomb. Love you, girl. Previous comments, but yeah, unfortunately, they prey on most parents that are not knowledgeable about the laws and play these scare tactics on them. Yes, for sure. Ashley says, how about overlapping services? My daughter had a speech and OT service overlapped with teacher. This took away from each service and it counted for one OT and one speech service and for all kiddos. Wow, that's crazy. You're gonna have to explain that to me a little bit more because like so crazy, it's confusing. But wow. Um, if you got stuck up for my child, honestly, you got fired, I would light that school up. Oh, good. Thank you for sharing to the group. Um, if you got stuck up for my child, what does that mean? Oh, and Aaron, I'm free tomorrow, so in the morning. I have an IEP team playing games and dicking around, so we're rescheduling IEP. So I'm free tomorrow to, as I tell the world. So just message me after this. We'll schedule it. Does anybody have questions? Are you guys excited about the membership? I hope you share with your friends, share with other groups, and share about the training of becoming something different. That you're not going to be shoved. It's not going to be shoved down your throat. This is how you become an advocate. This is how you become an advocate. This is how you become an advocate. You got to know these laws. Here's the laws. Here's the books. Here's the stuff. This is what you got to know. Blah blah blah. And I'm like, ugh, y'all can do that on your own time. Because what I teach you is already going to be something that is within the law. But I'm going to teach you how to go be that badass in the meeting. You know, I want to teach you if this happens, what you got to do. If this happens, this is what you got to do. This is the flow of how your meeting should go. What is your first meeting about? What is your second meeting about? What is your third meeting about? If you need a fourth meeting, what is that about? Stop thinking, oh, once a year. I'm going to teach you something completely different that you're going to find the flow, you're going to find the pace, and you're going to love it because it's going to be a beautiful flow that works not just for you, but they're going to get used to it and it's going to work for them. And they're going to know what it's about and know what is coming. And it's going to work really well for you. I can promise you that. But I would much rather teach you how to act and do and be in an IEP meeting than to preach to you, okay, this is what an OCR complaint is. And this is what, idea states. And this is what this is. And this is what this is. Because as I'm teaching, all right, and coming from an educator's point of view, um, I like to teach in the most productive way. And what's going to get me that if I was thinking about me, what is going to get me the most knowledge in the quickest amount of time and something that I can go implement right now. Well, when you learn just stuff like, you know, here's the laws, here's FERPA laws, here's this, here's that. Okay. All it is knowledge that you're learning. And it's not bad. It's just not going to teach you what to do in that meeting, which is what it is that you really want to learn, what you really want to know. So pass this around to your friends, pass it to other groups, let them know the next 2 weeks it is coming. Okay. By month's end, hands down, it will be open. And it's going to have a bunch of my stuff. Okay. It's going to have, and what I mean is a bunch of my stuff, meaning like my FERPA requests, my, emails that I write, just different things. And I'm going to be adding stuff all the time. And it's a membership that you can come and go as you please, but know that things are always going to be coming and you may miss out. So you want to definitely, everybody can pay $47. Everybody. Okay. So if that's an investment, do it. All right. Everybody can pay $47 and get hands-on information that they can actually truly use right now that isn't Google-fied. Okay. Because that's not going to teach you what to do in that meeting. It's not going to teach you how to, hold someone accountable and to push to make sure to once you push somebody that's not being truthful and not being transparent, they're going to bury themselves. And I'm going to tell you, it is the most entertaining thing to see. When you see someone that literally has blatantly lied and they've lied and they are just burying themselves because of the bullshit, it's very entertaining to watch. Sounds kind of crazy, maybe sounds kind of cruel, but how I look at it is if you're going to bury yourself, I'd rather it be you than me. And if it gets the child what's needed and appropriate, keep on burying yourself. I look at it like Yellowstone, dig up that grave or dig the grave for yourself. That's what they're doing, digging the grave for themselves, and then they're going to put themselves in it. Anybody else Yellowstone fans out there? I'm like obsessed. All right, guys, the service provider, Raven, can you tell me what the average charge for an advocate? That's PM me, but it can range. All right. I think it's how good they are, to be quite honest. So, it just depends. So it just depends. Okay. I don't know if there's some average charge. I don't know. I know there's good advocates and there's bad advocates. I know that. I know, I was always brought up, you get what you pay for. And I know that, when I talk to my parents, that I always say, you are going to invest and then it's maintenance because you want that IEP on point. By the way, guys, by the March 1st, I will have 2 spots open if you are interested. 2. So message me now, get on the books. If you're interested, 2 spots. Like I told you guys, I'm pacing and I have paced myself this year. Last year I made myself crazy nuts. And so this year I have paced myself and it's been a lot better. So when I have spots available, I told you guys I'd let you know, but I only have 2 coming in the next 2 weeks. So if you're interested, you're ready to get your child's IEP on point, yep, now is the time for that ESY fun stuff. And you know me and ESY, so, if you know about me, you know me and ESY. I'm uh, definitely an advocate for ESY. And the bullshit that they feed you about, "Oh, your child doesn't need ESY, they're making straight A's." Um, yeah, let me get a hold of them. So it's time, all right? Spring isn't the time to let it go, just like summer isn't the time to let it go. You are fighting for that IEP all year. Summer's the best time to get things going for things to start right in September or August. Now is the best time to get things started so that you get an IEP set in stone and ESY set up. So there's so many different reasons why you want your IEP set up right now. All right. Um, just do. And you want your present levels on point. You want, everything about your IEP to be on point. And if you're one of those people that are like still learning, get your child's IEP on point and just learn. But don't learn and let the IEP just sit there and not be on point because you're learning, because that takes time. And I don't want your child to miss out on everything that they need because you're still learning. So, like, get their IEP on point and then, keep learning. All right. So do that for me. Okay. The other thing is I will post the link to my course so you can get your foundation. All right. That will help you a lot if you're going to plan on becoming an advocate and working with me. All right. You've got to have the foundation. All right. You just have to. If you don't have the foundation, you're going to really struggle. And, it's like with anything else, you go to college to become a teacher or whatever else. Well, you have to, have some sort of background. Well, you guys asked, well, do I have to have training? Do I have to have background? Do I have to have this? No, but you do have to have the foundation. And the foundation, I give you my whole PPN system. I give you which is the plan, prepare, present, persuade, and negotiate. All right. And I give you my IEP blueprint and God, so much more. All right. It's something you'll have forever and you can do it at your own pace. We tried ESY with my 8-year-old last year and he hated it. His twin brother didn't have to go to class during summer. So it was every other day fit. Well, ESY can be so many different things. It doesn't have to be horrible. So I don't know, what it is that your child had or whatnot, but, my daughter went to therapeutic riding over the summer because it taught her how to be gentle and kind and how to touch. She had behavior issues. And so she had to learn how to pet nicely. She was really rough. I can't tell you how many balls she threw at my ceiling fans. And I went through, I think one year I went through like 8 ceiling fans. Those damn things are expensive. So it's just important to, realize that, he may not have liked it, but if he needs it, you want to figure out what it is that you can do to encourage him to go. So, we could kind of put our heads together on that one. Mandy, I don't know, because obviously if it's needed, that's important. So now we got to figure out, okay, if it's needed, what can we do to make it fun? So then we can put our heads together and make it fun because it should be fun. It's over the summer. It should be fun. All right. All right, guys. I'll talk to you soon. Have a great night. Bye-bye. I'll post the course.